Now, some of you may remember this truck. It looks a little bit different now, but not too long ago, we rolled in this old race truck, and already, just stripping it down, it already looks better, man. I'm starting to see the potential.
Starting to see the light.
I am.
You know, this was, believe it or not, a full-functioning race truck at a grassroots level. As Matt said, we stripped it down to bare metal because it was pretty beat on. It needed to be, so we'll take the time now and build it back up to once again compete out on the track.
Now, if you remember, we had a large dent in the front frame horn, so we need to fix that before we do anything else with this frame.
So to do that, we got out the plasma cutter, then cut off the horn. And we want to weld on a new horn, so we made sure to grind down the area so we have a nice clean surface to weld on.
Before we get the race truck soda blasted, we know we want to change the setup of the brake pedal. So we want to cut off the old brackets because it was two separate pieces. And what we want to do is make one solid piece to make everything more stable.
Now we're ready to soda blast the race truck with the Stripco Mobile Soda Blaster. The material doesn't heat, hit, or warp the metal, so the job can be done fast and easy. Now getting back to our race truck here, we've got it stripped down so we can take a look at some of these welds and dissect them, make sure that they're all still intact.
Now, we couldn't do that before with all the grease and the oil and the dirt and the paint. We had to strip that out and get it all out of the way. That way, we can check all these welds for the structural integrity, because you want to make sure, if somebody's going to be in here racing, you want to make sure they're going to be good and safe. You can take a look at these welds right here. I don't see any cracks. We're going to look at these a little bit more in depth, but so far, at first glance, everything's looking half decent.
Yeah, if I put my big melon head in this thing, I got to make sure that if I were to happen to put it into the wall again, because this thing's been put into a few times, that it's going to hold up.
True, actually, we may need to make this opening a little bit bigger if you're going to put your head through there.
Maybe, yeah, maybe by just a touch. So our first order of business on this chassis was to replace this front horn, which was damaged in a crash. So what we did is cut this whole section off, went down to our local junkyard to find a new replacement.
Yeah, we found this piece right here. Actually, we found the old frame to the Monte Carlo, which is what this whole chassis is based on. So we cut off more than we needed. We brought it back here and made a couple cuts just to make sure that we had it all right. And we also welded up these tabs right in here. That gives us a good strong surface to weld to. So we'll butt that up into there, and then we can connect this all together. But we've got a couple different things that we need to pay attention to when we do this.
Now the first thing we're order of business really is make sure that we've got the same angle from this front section to that section, so this thing will be uniform. So we're at 7 right now.
All right.
Matt, you're gonna have to try and find that over there.
Yeah, let me try this here.
The other thing we also need to do is make sure we have the same distance overall as to a stock configuration. We measured an old Monte Carlo that was there before we hacked it off, and it was about 34 inches as well.
All right, the angle's close. I'm gonna have to make a little adjustment, but we also want to check this measurement going across here, because I think the original was what?
Right at 34.
34 and a quarter, I think. And so we'll get that out. Yeah, that's about where we want it, and this should be good enough. So if we get this distance right and the angle right, we're on the money.
Yep. Now the other thing we need to do is, just like on this old piece, is put a new sway bar bolt in on the new. So Matt's going to start welding that thing up. When we take a break, hopefully he'll have some work done and we can start moving forward.
Dude, we are on it.
Hey, welcome back to Truck U. Now earlier today we showed you guys how we cut off our old brake pedal mount. Went into place like this. Now the problem with this mount is that it's not supported anywhere in the middle. What happened was this old brake pedal assembly sat down on top of it here and had a lot of flex of it going back and forth. Now not only is it bad because it's not connected all the way across, because it could break off on the sides, but it just gives a bad feel as a driver. You talk about precision driving, we talk about racing, and anytime you step on the brake pedal, you need to be able to feel that pedal to some extent. Well, with this type of a setup, you'll feel this thing flex before you'll feel the pedal, and that's not what you want. So an easy way to improve this setup is just make one bracket that goes all the way across. Done here is cut out a little pattern where it'll mount in the same place. The pedal will go right back in where it was, so we don't have to buy a new assembly, but it'll be stiff because it's one continuous piece. So we've traced it out here. We're going to put a fold there, a little bend here, a bend there, cut out in the middle for the pedal to drop into, and our mounting holes. It's just that simple. Now all we have to do is go over to our metal, trace it out, make our cuts, and we can weld it into place. All right, so that's tack welded into place, our new mount, and honestly, it was a really easy fix, because I'm telling you something, it's gonna be a whole lot better than what we had before. Now, hopefully this brake pedal should fit back in place just like that. Everything lines up, and you can see how rigid this thing is already, and we've only got it tack welded in place, so now we'll have a much better feel for the pedal, and once again, an easy fix.
Well, I'll tell you what, The good news is, man, I went through this whole deal and I didn't find one bad weld. I'm actually kind of surprised, but I'm also happy too. I mean, that's a good deal.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either. So surprisingly, because this thing was pretty beat up when it came in here, you know, you would have thought we would have seen something, but that's a good thing. That's a start.
Yeah, they put this together real nice. Now, these are the door bars on the side, and these are a lot like the front and rear bumpers that we talked about in an earlier show, in that they're designed to crush in, right? So they've got these, they got the pins in there, they got the bolts that I already took out and got those out of the way. Those are designed to shear, so if Bruno goes sliding into the wall real hard with some hard side impact, they're going to shear off. This is going to take the brunt of the impact and thereby not tweak the frame up too badly. So
rubbing is racing.
Exactly. So it's slamming into the wall. Now, that being said, we've got some dust to get off of this thing, and we've got to move on to the next thing, which is finding out what color we're going to put on this or how we're going to finish it off, right?
You know, my first thought was thinking actually let's go ahead and powder coat it, because powder coating is going to give you a nice even finish. You don't have to worry about overspray, and that's an easy thing to do because you've got round tubes. Overspray is tough, even the most skilled painters. But one problem we found in the drag racing world is that when you powder coat, it does a great job of hiding things like cracked welds, and that can be a real issue. So it's probably not our best route to go down.
We might have that same issue if we use a black paint. Sure, you could just paint it all black. That'll look really good, really cool. But the problem is, it's also going to hide like a little small hairline crack, and we don't want that. So I don't know. We might be better off with a light paint scheme. But
maybe like a charcoal or something.
We have several of these, so why don't we just hit them all with something different and find out which one we like the best?
Sounds like a plan, man.